Oh, laid on the line, talk through my problems. Let's try resolving them. Should we even try? Meet me halfway, and I'll give you time. Laid on the line, show me your heart, and I'll show you mine. If we want this, if we need this, then let's lay it on the line. Settle down, let's try to talk it out.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Lay It on the Line. It's your girl Jamila.
And Nene Devon.
And before we get started, y'all already know what to do. You need to hit that subscribe button and make sure that you like, share, and comment.
Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and again, look us up on YouTube.
YouTube. That's exactly where you're going to find a full episode for our Lay It on the Line. All right, so last episode we addressed some viewers' questions, and I have an actual topic that I want to go into depth on, and I want to get your feedback and your, opinion on it. And we already know that Missy Nay, she a little bit kind of, if somebody do me wrong, F them, and I ain't dealing with them no more. So today's topic, let me go ahead and read it to you. It says, what does real forgiveness look like between parents and adult children? Can you truly forgive someone and still be hurt by what they did?
Yes.
Yes.
The forgiveness doesn't make the pain go away.
What does forgiveness look like, though? Because y'all be saying, oh, I forgive you, but I don't F with you no more. And if I see you, I'm going to keep walking past you. You forgive them, but tell me, how does forgiveness look?
Honestly, you asking the wrong person. So
I'm asking the right person.
Forgiveness to me is, all right, I don't want to have to, you're okay in my book, but not around me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got you. I see who you are. Stay over there. I'm going to stay over here. And I'm just not going to deal with you anymore. I'm not going to harp on what you did to make me put you over there in that box. I'm just not going to deal with you anymore.
Okay, so let's say you have somebody, they are hurt.
Okay.
They haven't healed from it. But to them, they feel like, I forgave that person. But when you talk to them, you can hear like the hurt, you can hear the animosity, and they're saying like, I can forgive you, but I don't have to be with you. You can stay in your lane. But when they're telling you, they're still bringing up what that person did that hurt them, but they said they forgave them. So for me, I don't know if I'm just seeing things differently. Like if I talk to somebody and they're telling me, oh, this person did A, B, C, and D to me, but I forgave them. But then they continue to go on and talk about, well, this is what they did, and they didn't say I'm sorry, and I feel some kind of way, but I forgive them, but I just don't want to fool with them. I don't want to have a relationship with them. All of that. To me, maybe my definition or my interpretation of forgiveness is different, but I just feel like if you forgive somebody, when you think of them and when you talk to them, it's not anger. Like you're not still mad. Like, can you truly forgive somebody and still be mad at them?
Yeah. I feel like the answer is yes, because honestly, I think people have the misinterpretation that if I forgive you, I'm now allowing you to come back in and we can act like everything is okay. It don't work like that for me.
I think a lot of people do think like that because, like, let's just say, whether I say I'm sorry or not, or me taking accountability for what I did that hurt you. I think that most people might feel like, well, I told them that I didn't mean for them. I apologize. And I don't know how long it takes somebody to get over the pain that other person caused. Because there's usually some pain in there. That's the reason that you're mad and that you have to forgive them anyway because they hurt you. But I just feel like if you're still bothered by it, or if when you think of this person and you talk about this person, there's still some anger there. What do you call that? Like, I get it. You can forgive them, but you haven't healed from it. What do you do to get past that? Like, because I don't want to stay mad or feel animosity every time I think about somebody that did something to hurt me.
We know we different.
I know.
You and I are like completely different when it comes to that. Because I feel like it depends. Like if somebody comes to me and you genuinely apologize and I messed this up, or I know, where I went wrong here and I'm sorry, can we move past it? me personally, I might give you another opportunity, right? But if you do that same thing again, and I'm done. You know what I'm
So
saying?
when it's a
So
parent, what about if it's your mother or your father? You know, you feel like they wronged you when you was a child, and now that they're older, and they might realize the things that they did to you, and they come to you and they tell you, well, you know what, I was young, I made a mistake.
I talked to a young man,
Mm-hmm.
very well rounded for the most part, and we talked about, had a conversation about forgiveness, and he said the hardest thing to do is forgive a parent. Is to forgive a parent, because that's somebody that you see as a protector, somebody that's supposed to always be there to do all of these different things, and you want to always try to, in your mind, you want to have this relationship with your parent, but that hurt is what's that wall that you have up behind that hurt is what's going to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of the situation, there's always going to be pain there, because you always want to feel like your mom or your dad, you're supposed to have a particular type of relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you don't have that relationship, forgiveness and hurt is different, because yeah, I forgive you for that, but the pain that you placed on me is still there, because I have to essentially have you in my life because you're my parent.
Mm-hmm.
So that hurt doesn't really go away. But forgiveness is like, okay, you're my parent, I'm going to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to still buy you something for Mother's Day, even though you're a trash mom, or or for Father's Day, even though that you ain't never been there, for me. That's where forgiveness comes in at. But will the pain still be there? Yeah, when you look at, and not even that, especially if they don't change, especially if that parent has not acknowledged that they screwed up, that hurt is going to be there until, first off, they have to acknowledge, I hurt you, and I realize that I hurt you, and because I hurt you, I want to try to fix it. Now the problem
How do they
is,
fix it?
well, it depends on us having a communication and me telling you what went wrong. If you have to know what went wrong. And the thing is, our parents before us, our generation before us, and probably and I'm sure the generation before then, were never wrong. I did it, and I'm standing by it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the hurt comes in, it because what you did caused me pain, but somewhere in your mind, your ego is set up to, I don't have to explain shit to you. What happened, get over it. And it's just supposed to be that. But I'll say, me, built for it tough, is only so much shit you can do.
Yeah, I think those traditions of how you discipline your children have been passed down. And sad to say, in the black community, a lot of it has been passed down from like how the slave master treated them, But I feel like my generation, like how my mom raised me, I didn't agree with a lot of things that she did, but they made us work for things that we had, you know. And now I feel like kids, they're so much different than us, and it's our fault because we want to, let me give them the things that I didn't have. I didn't like that my mama didn't buy me this. She didn't let me go here. She didn't let me do this and that. So when I have a baby, I'm going to let my baby express itself, or I'm going to let my baby, do this and do that. And now we have like all these little entitled, ungrateful ass kids.
I feel like my younger two may be that, but
you spoil them.
The two little ones, yeah, I think they're a lot more
so
spoiled.
Cute.
But the oldest three I raised different because I think I coddled them.
In what way?
Like I didn't let them go out and hang out like we did. Like when we were younger, we used to dropped off at the skating rink, dropped off at the movies. You went and spent a night at your friend's house. You running up and down the street. Ride your bike to the other side of the town as long as you get back before the street lights get on. That's the freedom that we had when we were kids. My kids, the older three, didn't have those type of freedoms. Like I didn't want them spending the night at nobody's house. Like I don't trust people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't go here. I need to know who this person is. Like my oldest daughter, when she was in high school, she had like a little babysitting job where she would go to people's houses and, when they had date nights, and, she would, and I'd be like, make sure they leave together, they come back together. If the husband come back home before the wife, you let me know, I'm coming to get you. It
Right.
was just stuff like that. I was like so
Protective.
hyper protective
Mhm.
over them. And even my son was like, even with him being a boy, I was like, I didn't want them going anywhere. Like, I just didn't trust people. And you just never know. But like now, and I think my oldest daughter's probably the still way. She run background checks on everybody.
Yeah, you told me that. But there's nothing wrong with that. And the way that I grew up, my mom, she didn't allow us to spend the night at people's house. We didn't really have people that spend the night at my house. I probably had my first sleepover in high school. And me with my son, he didn't even want to go stay at other people's house or
Mhm.
anything like that. But you did differently with your first three, and they turned out really well. But look at a lot of parents that spoil their kids or try to be so different than their parents and give their kids everything they didn't have. And now look at how those kids be turning out.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, my younger two, I would have to say that they're spoiled. However, they know. I don't know if I probably mentioned it before, but I was watching the TikTok or something
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok where the kids slapped the hell out of their mama. And King was over my shoulder watching, and he backed up and he said, "Oh,"
He don't want those
he
problems.
said, "I wouldn't still be living."
He know
He
better.
he said, "I still wouldn't be living, and honestly, Mama, you'll probably be
In
in
jail.
somebody's jail serving a life sentence." And I'm like, "I'm
Right.
glad you know that."
Yeah.
Y'all can get away with these different things, and yeah, I limit. We ain't doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like that, say what you want to say.
In the
There's going to be
bathroom.
respect. Yeah, there's going to be respect there. But I don't think I have a problem with my kids being disrespectful.
Their
Um,
restroom TikTok with the kids being able to curse and say whatever they wanted to say, I found that highly inappropriate. And it was this one little girl, she just looked so innocent. And as soon as
she was
they
saying
closed it,
B.
she was just like, she got gangster with
Yeah,
it.
I
And I'm
seen
like,
that.
parents, I wonder, do they even realize, like, your kids go out, they doing this, they saying this is how they talk? Because I would have never thought that that little girl talked like that.
My oldest two are 27 and 28.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the last year and a half, they just started cursing around me.
Mm.
So.
They almost 30 too, right? Yeah. I don't curse in front of my mama. I've never felt that comfortable around her to curse in front of her. I might have said, like, take that back. One day, Mitch was dating somebody in my apartments, and I called the girl Stalker. I don't even know what her real name is. I call her Stalker. And I could have been in my 30s, somewhere in my 30s or whatever. But they got into it, and the girl was trying to press some charges against Mitch that was like fake.
Mhm.
Mitch was at my house, and she was trying to say that Mitch had went over there and kicked her door in or something like that. So we drove around there, and just so happened my mom was with us. And I don't know if I still had anger issues at this time, but whatever happened, I was ready to charge at the girl, and I ended up saying some cuss words, and that's the only time I've ever cursed in front of my mama. And Mitch had to tell me to chill out because I was gonna go to jail. And the police was actually there, but it was just, I don't know. I cannot stand liars, and she was lying, and she was right there, and you being disrespectful in front of my mama. Like, you made me be disrespectful in front of my mama. Like,
Yeah.
I really want you now.
Right.
And yeah, like, sometimes back then when I was a little bit younger, it'd be hard for me to remember. Like, girl, you don't want to go to jail. Mm-mm.
I don't know. I think when I was younger, when I say fiery, like
Yeah.
fiery. I fought people for no reason. Like
No,
if you be like, Tora, go beat such and such up. Like, where they at?
that was not me.
That was definitely me.
That was so not me.
I was fighting everybody. Like my homeboy was like, I need you to beat this girl up. Take me to her. And
Mm.
and boys, I fought anybody. When I was younger, it didn't even matter. And honestly, fighting boys was a thrill.
You sound like my mama. She used to fight boys. I'm such a lover. I don't want to fight anybody, but sometimes people take you there and you have to do what you got to do. But whatever, I still will not curse in front of my mom. I might have slipped a word out, but it was like maybe like a S word or, but in that situation, she probably heard a B word, but that made me feel really bad. Like, I can't cuss in front of my mama.
I think I'm probably more uncomfortable with cursing in front of my dad.
Yeah,
Like my,
I would be
yeah.
more comfortable cursing in front of my dad because he's just more lenient and more cool.
He's more, my dad is more lenient and cool. It's just the fact that it just seemed like I was raised, I respect him so much more. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So it's a little odd. I might say a little, shit, like that. But saying
girl, if they watch this
cursing,
podcast, they know you got a little potty mouth and you be cursing and saying more than just
he
that.
knows. He watches the podcast. He knows. He sees. And my dad right now is really big on I need a boyfriend.
Mm.
So I'm just like, he'll see the podcast and he's like, well, baby, I know what your problem is. And I'm like, oh, daddy, okay.
You better
But
listen to them, man. All right, so my next question is, what affects kids all the way into their adulthood by decisions their parents made for them as kids? Like as a parent, you might make a decision for your kids because you feel like that's the best decision for them. For example, like I'm gonna use myself, my experience. I divorced my son dad when he was like 5 years old, and I moved to Virginia. I felt like me and my son moving to Virginia was the best option for us because it was a promotion that came with it, stability. The husband at the time didn't want to go. You stay here for whatever your excuses are. We're no longer going to be. But my son is better off with me because I have a stable job. I have the vehicle. I'm going to have a place to stay. And you're kind of pillar to post or whatever. So that's a decision that I made for me. But how does it affect my son? I don't know. He might feel like, oh my God, I didn't get to grow up with both of my parents because my mama wanted to take a job that paid her more money. And my dad wanted to stay here and hang out with his baby mamas, you know?
I think divorce itself
Mm-hmm.
is a decision that as adults we make for our kids.
Yeah.
And I think also as adults we don't have those type of conversations with our kids to find out how it's going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we watch them go through certain traumas. And kids are different. Some kids learn from what they see people around them go through. Some people mimic what they see happens, and that's how you get the apple don't fall far from the tree and whatnot. But you have to, I always tell people, you have to want different, you have to want more. But
Yeah.
divorce definitely, or where you move and how often you move.
Stability plays a big
Stability, yes,
role
most
in how
definitely.
kids are affected by things. Um, I guess, like with me growing up, my mom and dad were not married, so I didn't have to deal with a divorce. She did get married to her husband, same guy she had been dating when we were like in elementary school. She married him when we was in high school. But my mom, I've heard her say things before like, "Oh, y'all didn't, have a dad living in the house with y'all, and y'all were fine. Y'all weren't affected." But she never asked us
If you were
if we
affected.
were affected.
Hmm.
And to think about it, like I personally feel some kind of way about not being able to go to my dad's house. As a kid, I know how my mom was, and she was like, "Well, I called over there, and she hung up in my face. So no, y'all can't go over there because if she do something to y'all and I hear anything, then I'm gonna go to jail because I'm gonna whip her behind." So because of that decision that she made, I guess to make sure she don't go to jail and we don't get harmed by this lady that's being disrespectful over the phone, you're not allowed to go to your daddy's house. I feel some kind of way. My cousin get to go to her daddy house. My other cousin get to go to his daddy house. But why we only can see him when he come over here? That made me feel some kind of way. My son, for example, I tell him you have multiple siblings. Some of them, they don't have your dad's name on the birth certificate and they feel a way about it. You don't understand because his name is on your birth certificate. But for some children that don't have their parents' name on their birth certificate, they might feel lost because even though the mom is saying this is your dad, you're not saying, they don't see it on there. So like it makes them feel kind of lost or whatever. So parents do make decisions that affect their kids, but a lot of times they don't ask their kids, do you feel a kind of way,
I think these women that are taking their fathers from, I mean, they're taking their kids from their fathers,
Mm-hmm.
also have a huge effect on their kids and how the kids are growing up, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times these kids don't know what the dynamics was. Like, you don't know that your dad used to abuse your mom, or you don't know that your mom or that your dad was married. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And your mom was a side piece that turned around and had
Yeah.
a kid, and you don't know that your dad didn't want kids and your mom was supposed to get an abortion and she didn't and kept you anyway. You
Yeah.
know, you don't know these type of things, and because you don't know these things, you live your life with all of this resentment of why this person wasn't around, why I was treated differently than some of my other siblings, or why I didn't know this, and who this person is. So those are a lot of things that people fail to realize, that yes, I made a decision, it affect my kids, and now they look at me like
You the bad guy.
you the bad guy.
Mhm. So at what? Because I think about it like this. A lot of times people don't tell their children what's going on with them because you're a child. You don't supposed to know these things. And the kid in their mind, oh, stay in a child's place. They get so upset or offended by it. But I know it's a lot of things that I didn't tell my son why the relationship didn't work between me and his dad. You know, like you said, the daddy probably was beating on the woman and she burned off, or you could have the baby mama just bitter and she's mad because your dad chose somebody else over her. So she's the reason that you didn't have a relationship with your dad, because she didn't allow you to go over your daddy's house because she was mad that he didn't choose her.
Right.
Or the dad mad that you moved on to another dude, and if he can't be with you, then he don't
You
want to
know,
have
nobody
nothing to do
else.
with your kids.
Yeah.
But if we're not telling the kids this, like you say, they grow up with this resentment in them. It affects them throughout their adulthood. And some kids, they grow up and they want to be so different than their parent and turn out just like them.
Yeah, but you gotta also realize sometimes you have to make sure you're telling the kids the truth and not just your version to make the other person look like the bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I love my black women,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times that is a thing. Like, you mad at the man, and it's like now you gave these kids the story of why he disappeared, and it may not actually be the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, you know, oh, he was this and he was this and he was that and he was that. And it was like, no, the problem is y'all didn't get along. Y'all was straight up toxic,
Or
together.
they
And y'all
probably was
argued.
never in a relationship to begin
Never,
with. They
yeah.
told themselves, or like you even mentioned, like the dad didn't want a kid. The woman probably already knew from the beginning he don't want a kid. Oh well, he the one don't want a kid, but I want a baby, so she lied by being on birth control.
Yeah.
That's why I say these dudes, they need to be protecting themselves, but they so easy and they just giving it to anybody.
Yeah, I think in those particular cases, somebody needs to, that's where the kids forgiveness thing comes into play, because I do feel like there needs to be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my kids are young, but my kids see me by myself, or they see me, not talking to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter is 11 and she's like, "Mama, you should date."
Yeah.
And
They
I'm
tired of you being at home. Go on a date, mama. That's what that is.
so, it's thing, but I'm blessed. I have to say that I'm blessed to have the knowledge now to be able to communicate, different things to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they are understanding.
Okay, so before we wrap it up, if you could give a adult child or even a small child that is watching, they got to be 18 and older to be watching, but if you could give an adult child some advice about resentment, forgiveness, and how to move on when they're dealing or trying to heal from hurt that they received from their parent, what would you say?
I would say, let's start the conversation. For one, we have to initiate the conversation, because this is it's gonna make a break. You
Mm-hmm.
know, your parent is gonna have to offer some clarity in one end or another, and then you kind of figure where you go from there. You're gonna either forgive and y'all can move forward, or you'll see what type of person they are, because a lot of, again, our generation before us didn't acknowledge their downfalls, and that's why a lot of people in our age and parents that with the generation before have that break in their relationships. But I just really feel like a lot of people really need to sit down and stop ignoring it for all these years. Have a conversation with an open mind.
Right, I agree. So my advice that I would give to an adult child that is holding on to pain, whether they realize that they're not healed or not, maybe think about things from a parent point of view. Like some of you have young parents, or you have parents that didn't grow up with a male role model or a good mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be generational, passed down. So don't think about how it is from your child eyes, how it seemed to you when you was a kid. Take yourself out the equation and try to put yourself in your parents' shoes. Or maybe look at your parent. If your parent is a different person today than they were when you was a child, give them some grace. They didn't know. They didn't have the formula. They probably are sorry. And if you need to hear them say that, hey, I'm sorry I messed up, tell them, look, you messed me up as a child. And I really need you to say that you're sorry. Or I really need you to acknowledge what you did that hurt me. Sometimes parents, they doing the best that they can and they don't even realize that they messed up. If you don't tell them, how do they know? So give them the opportunity to fix it. Now, if you tell them everything they did that made you feel bad and they be like, oh, well, get over it. If you tell them, hey, I just need you to say I'm sorry and acknowledge what you did, and they say, look, baby, I was doing the best that I could and I didn't know no better. And I'm so sorry. I never meant to make you feel that way. I love you. Forgive them. Let go of that hate. Let go of that hurt. Let go of that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive them, not just for them, but for yourself. And that's my advice that I have for you.
I agree.
So y'all know what to do. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button and catch us next time on Lay It on the Line. It's been real.